Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CCA League Week 5. I am Mizuno, head TO of the CCA, and I am joined by our guest commentator, Falco Flyer, for our Week 5 matchup between Vermillion Tides and Niner Esports. Falco, how are you doing today?
Mizuno, I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me on tonight. I'm ready to commentate my first CCA game, and with this kind of being the last week of the regular season, there are some matches at stake, right?
Right, exactly. Vermillion Tides sitting in Division 2 are actually fighting for a playoff berth and hopefully securing the second seed. We are jumping straight into our first match, Game 1 on Splat Zone's Wahoo World.
All right, and taking a look at these comps, we see the Splatana Stamper, something we don't see very often. Explo coming out as well, a pretty traditional comp, I believe, on the side of Niner Esports. You may have to help me out with who's on which team with these colors here.
Right, exactly. Already, the zone is kind of in this neutral situation. Both teams kind of scoping out and seizing the opponents, just seizing each other up. The zone still has yet to turn hands and be taken for the first grab here. We're already... Oh, excuse me. I'm just realizing this is Clam Blitz. I thought this was zone.
You know,
Oh,
we've
got
had
the wrong
Splatfest for 48 hours. We're still in, we're still thinking about other things. It's all good.
I was about to say, I thought the zone would turn hands at this point, but no, all the players are taking control of this clam economy here. 1 minute in, and right now, it looks like Vermillion Tides are the only ones so far to even have a ball, as if they're just about to re-grasp it.
Yeah, Vermillion Tides, it's hard in the beginning of a game of Clan Blitz like this to kind of get your footing right, and especially because this is a mode where you're going to be scattered all the way around the map. But look at that, Niner Esports almost able to pick up a clam and score that in, and as Vermillion Tides, I believe they are the pink team. But they're able to stop that push and kind of get some kills of their own too. So they're getting back in there.
Right, exactly. I mean, with 2 down on each side, 1 coming back from spawn, this is still relatively good positioning for Vermillion Tides, although a great splat here on the side of Niner Esports from Kleb. That was a great pick there. I mean, again, just right now, both teams are still trying to seize each other up and get control of this clam economy. Not much movement is happening as both teams only have a couple of specials online.
Yeah, and that's kind of something we have seen more in Splatoon 3 than Splatoon 2. But look at this, Niner Esports almost able to make the push with the support of the rain. They are able to get some more picks. Are they going to pick up that power claim in time? Yes, they are. And look at that, one of their players still staying alive. So we actually have Vermillion Tide in the blue and Niner Esports in the pink. So I'll try to keep that straight. So Vermillion Tide, again, a good job there on defense, trying to prevent any of these power claims from going in. But again, with Clan Blitz kind of being this more neutral game in Splatoon 3 compared to Splatoon 2, these slow and steady pushes can really go a long way, especially when the clock has less than 2 minutes remaining.
Right, exactly. I mean, the time is going to be a key factor here in stalling the objective here, especially when teams are going to be desperate to controlling the clam economy. And when time is not on your side and you're desperately looking for clams at a key moment when you need to get points on the board, that's going to be very costly and potentially going to lose you the match at the end of the day. We are just about approaching a minute and a half left. And again, time is not on either team's side right now. Neither team has yet to pop the basket. Each team just taking trades and just kind of poking at each other and just not being able to have a chance to approach the basket.
Yeah, both of these teams really need to capitalize on having the player advantage, and right now that really isn't going towards anybody. But Niner Esports in the attacking position, and they are able to get the first score of the game. I'm not sure if they'll have much to follow up with 2 players down. It looks like the Blaster was going to go in, getting a few clams. So again, not the best push, but at this stage in the game, when you're 4 minutes in, and that's the only push, that might be all you need to get the win.
You're absolutely right on that point, Falco. Now Vermillion Tides doesn't have a lot of time to work with, and they still have to grab some of that map control back, and of course worry about the clam economy to get some of those points. Now to succeed the 74-point lead against Niner Esports, they do have to get a ball and a few odd clams or so. So it's not too much, but the fact that there's only 30 seconds left, Vermillion Tides has got to get a move on.
And Vermillion Tides has 3 power clams at the ready. Look at this. They are trying to strike, but unfortunately don't have the player advantage right now with 2 players down. They are able to use some specials, but Niner Esports able to pick up that defense and get some of these players. And that's going to be hard because as these players respawn, one score is going to go in. They're going to be trying to jump these power clams in. I don't know if they can do it with just having the Slosher alive and most of these power clams gone. Oh, what an attempt there by Vermillion Tide at the end, but Niner Esports with their defense able to prevent that.
And that is game 1 to Niner Esports. And absolutely right, Falco. That defensive front was so clutch. That clutch factor that you have to have just sitting there and waiting ever so patiently for your opponent to come to you, you can't mess that up because of the timing. And Niner Esports, they executed that defensive front very well, and they played that very patiently.
Yeah, when you have 2 teams who are evenly matched like this, you're going to get competitive clan blitz games. And again, it could be competitive in the fact that you're offensive or defensive. In this case, they were just very defensive teams. But to what you alluded to at the beginning, it took a while for both of these teams to get power claims in the first place. And you know, that is one of the struggles of claim blitz in general, just trying to figure out, okay, where should I form this power claim? Do I want to get it as soon as possible? Do I want to try and form it right by the basket so players don't know where I am? So it can be pretty hard to be sneaky.
Right. I mean, that passive play style is something that a lot of these teams, these newer teams, kind of default to because they don't have a good sense of direction and coordination to kind of move with the objective. There isn't as much of a sense of urgency. And that could definitely be applicable to not just Clan Blitz, but we're heading into our second match here. It can also potentially apply to Rainmaker. We're heading into Rainmaker Mincemeat Metalworks now. Game 2, Vermillion Tide up 1-0. Now let's take a look at these comps and see if there are any adjustments being made.
Yeah, it looks like we do see we see the charger come out. I don't believe the charger was there before. But honestly, a lot of these weapons are kind of staying the same too. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And again, with how competitive these teams were in game 1, you know, we're kind of in that stage where if you have a weapon that you enjoy so much, you don't really want to mix it up. I know for me, for instance, I'm like a one-trick blaster player. I probably won't play anything else, and some of these players might feel that way too.
Right, we have Niner Esports in the purple and Vermillion Tides in the bright yellow. 1 down on Vermillion Tides. Make that 2 down. There's a bit of a staggered spawn rate here on the side of Vermillion Tides, and neither team has yet to approach the Rainmaker yet. Again, this very passive play style kind of revealing itself from both of these teams.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it also depends on what kind of comp you have too. And you know, with both of these teams, honestly, having comps that aren't too different from each other from a role perspective. But again, it is going to make that tricky. But we are talking about neutral game in Clan Blitz. Let's talk about the neutral game that we have here in Rainmaker. A minute in, nobody has even bothered to try and pick up this Rainmaker. But Niner Esports with 2-player advantage, they want to take advantage of this opportunity. The Slosher there from Vermillion Tide is just waiting by the Rainmaker for somebody to try and pick it up, but staying alive, avoiding some splat bombs. So yeah, just a very conservative gameplay.
Conservative is such a good way of putting it, Falco, and that's because Mincemeat Metalworks is such a narrow-minded map with not a lot of room to work with, and one little mistake could be very deadly and could lead to a very dangerous push. So I can totally see why both of these teams are incredibly hesitant and very reserved in even approaching the Rainmaker. They are just waiting for the absolute right opportunity to strike here. But this might be their moment, Falco, because Vermillion Tides are 2 down. It looks like Niner Esports has grabbed the Rainmaker.
Yeah, Niner Esports, good job picking up the Rainmaker. And rather than taking it across the grate, they opt to drop down and take it to the right. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough for them to get to the podium, but they are going to be right next to it with that barrier popped. If anybody can pick it up right away and dunk it, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So Niner Esports now starting to back up, but getting that first push in the game, kind of setting the tone. And look at this, they're splash going to Splash Town here, getting all these picks and able to pick up this Rainmaker. They have to get to the checkpoint first. Oh man, they should have climbed up there. That was very close.
I think the Splash got distracted in the moment thinking, yes, I just got some great kills. Time to take the Rainmaker and go, go, go. But at that moment, they realized that they were just 1 point away from actually taking the podium. So it was such a great play, but they just weren't able to take advantage of it in that moment because they forgot about the checkpoint system that Splatoon 3 now has in place.
Yeah, and with Vermillion Tide picking up the Rainmaker, Niner Esports are not letting go really. Vermillion Tide not able to move this Rainmaker out of that first podium as they try to go up above the grates and now opting to take it on this right side to kind of counter that push from Niner Esports. I don't know if they'll get there. Actually, they get so close, but again, they can just climb this up and get that dunk. They will take the lead, and they definitely need to do that with only having the Stamper alive.
Right, exactly. I mean, that Booyah was also incredibly clutch on the side of Niner Esports. Otherwise, they would have lost the lead and that checkpoint. This is a great opportunity for Niner Esports to kind of move their line of front back into mid because they actually lost a lot of paint during that exchange. The Wavebreaker is coming out and just specials are activated everywhere as two go down on the side of Vermillion Tide. Make that a full wipeout, Falco. Niner Esports was able to get the full wipe on Vermillion Tide.
Yeah, and that's good because they need to move this Rainmaker and get to this podium. Again, neither team has gotten to the podium yet, and that just makes the game much more dangerous because if you don't get to the podium and your teammate does, they're going to take the lead. You want to make sure you're the first team to the podium. That way, if it ends with each team getting to that checkpoint, you're going to get the win when you're there first. So Niner Esports needs to capitalize on this. They use a Booyah Bomb to try and displace some Vermillion Tide members, but Vermillion Tide just as aggressive trying to prevent this pop. But let's see if Niner Esports can finally get it in and get the dunk, and it looks like they do, Mizuno.
They do, but man, it took a lot of time. This is a very dangerous situation for Vermillion Tide because not only has the checkpoint podium bit down, now they have 5 seconds to take this Rainmaker from one checkpoint to another. And with 2 members down and the Rainmaker has nowhere to go, Niner Esports is able to take game 2 in such a tight matchup.
Yeah, I like the blaster positioning there from Niner Esports. You really have to be stealthy to get those picks and get that win. Again, we talked about how conservative of gameplay we'd see in Clan Blitz and kind of expected that with Splatoon 3. Rainmaker, it's a little different than it was in Splatoon 2, but it's definitely slowed down the pace some. But again, like you said with Mincemeat, you're so vulnerable when you pick up that Rainmaker where you want to make sure that you are able to get some momentum when you pick it up. Because again, there's just grates on every side. You can pick it up, drop down immediately as long as you have paint. But it was just hard for those teams. They knew they had to defend the first checkpoints, but they couldn't, you just couldn't get it past it.
Right. I mean, just the fact that there's just no room. That vulnerability that you mentioned, Falco, is because of that lack of paint, right? When half the map is covered in grates and just there's so many tight corners and narrow alleyways for the Rainmaker to move to, it's so difficult to find a way to get your Slayers forward to create that space. So at the end of the day, it's like a battle of wills. And now this is going to be very interesting actually because we're heading into another very close quarters map in Splat Zone's Mahi Mahi for game 3. We have, let's see, it looks like a roller has hopped onto the side of Vermillion Tide and an Explo. They're keeping the Wiper still. On the other side, we have the Hydra coming back which is a very nice pick considering, again, such close quarters on this map. We do see 2 go down on the side of Niner Esports, and that is going to give way to Vermillion Tide taking the lead here.
Yeah, this can be one of those very quick matches where if you can take control, get the splats, and just kind of push up and start your lockout phase, it can be very hard to break in. And Niner Esports now needing to find a way that they can break in. Unfortunately, the Splatana Stamper doesn't really paint that well. It's hard to defend, but when you could be aggressive with the Zip Caster and push up on Mahi, it's going to be pretty nice. But yeah, this particular map and mode, it's going to get dirty pretty fast.
Right, because it's just so cramped here. You have very little ways to move around and kind of have entry points to get back in. We already see Vermillion Tide struggling to keep their members alive as 3 go down. With these staggered spawns, Falco, this is a very dangerous game to play, and this might allow Niner Esports to take back the lead.
Yeah, and it looks like they do get the lead, but they are using some specials, which is great, but not a lot of Vermillion Tide members are breaking into the zone. So if you're Vermillion Tide, you need to wait. You don't want to be just jumping into this zone unprotected without specials, without coordinating with your team. We see, once again, the Stamper here trying to flank a little bit, able to get that pick on the Blaster, but now they need to worry about painting this zone because we have less than 10 seconds and less than 2 players alive on both teams. Is this going to be enough for them to do it? Can the Wiper do it? They do, giving 75 penalty points to Niner Esports.
What a great play by Vermillion Tides' roller player. They were able to get a crucial kill on the zone, which allowed the Wiper to paint the zone along with the roller, and that support was absolutely needed. That was the most clutch play possible, Falco, and that is giving Vermillion Tides the second chance that they need to get some more points on the board.
Yeah, when you kind of get that second wind, able to build up your specials and work with your team, it basically is a brand new game. But now you have no time to waste because you don't want to get rid of all these points and then have the enemy team cap it so you have just as many penalty points as the enemy team. So you have to stay aggressive, have to be on this. And it looks like that is exactly what Vermillion Tides are doing as we have just about 10 units remaining. Can they keep this up and get the win? They're sitting at 5 right now, but Niner Esports trying to break in. Can they do it? Oh my goodness, look at this zone. They are able to cap it for just a split second. Niner Esports, both of these teams with over 60 penalty points. That is a lot, Mizuno.
Right, Niner Esports playing that so incredibly well. They had to push in at the exact right moment and just get paint down on the zone no matter what. And they understood that objective very well. Now, again, Falco, these penalty points are going to be so detrimental to both teams trying to work this zone. Already, Vermillion Tides is trying to work their way back in, but struggling as a great pick here on the side of the Niner Esports Splash player. And 2 are down on the side of Vermillion Tide, and they're in trouble once again.
Right. Basically, at this point, you could say it's tied. It's a race to see who can get rid of their penalty points first. And if neither team does, then Niner Esports, they're going to get the win because they essentially got there first. But Niner Esports still doing a good job holding onto the zone, but we are going to see some specials coming out from Vermillion Tide. Once again, they're able to cap it. Man, you go from 66 penalty points to 3 back up to 58. That is hard.
Right, that mentality is also going to start taking a toll. When you are, like you said, Falco, when you're able to finally work through all those penalty points and all of a sudden they've just been taken away and the penalty is right back against you, it does definitely take a toll mentally on these players, and it's like just a constant tug-of-war happening here on the zone.
Yeah, it is. And Vermillion Esports, they're having a hard time now trying to find an opportunity to break in. Niner Esports, they have the Hydra sitting in a pretty good position, just watching over the zone and touching up on areas. And we now see the Stamper trying to go for them. The Hydra is now going to be going down. But again, like, no team has really entered the lockout phase yet. We've just seen trade for trade, pick for pick. 2v2s, 3v3s, so in this kind of stalemate game, you're only going to benefit if you're winning, which in this case is Niner Esports. And with 10 seconds left, Vermillion Tides needing to hold on to this zone for probably about 10 more seconds without giving it up even once. Let's see if they can do that.
Right, I mean, this is a matter of just patience here. Finally, the zone has gave way, and Vermillion Tides is going to be able to take their first match of the set. And Falco, right? You talk about how Vermillion Tides has the advantage because they were able to get to their points first. That means Niner Esports, they're on the back foot. And as you saw there, the Hydra just, I don't know why they did this, but they just hopped right over and fed right into the roller. There's a little bit of desperation when you're down for that count. And that certainly played a factor into how Niner Esports was just, they weren't able to come back in this match.
Yeah, and I mean that's what they needed now. Of course, so this is a best of 7, and with you don't want to you don't want to give up and start off this series 0-3 and have to worry about a reverse sweep. Now you have a little bit of time to give up and to kind of just able to not play as aggressively so much. So that was a much needed win for Vermilion Tides, but hopefully they can keep it up if they want to keep getting these wins.
Right, Falco, momentum here in this league style format is so crucial for during these sets. Time and time again, we've seen in the league, and not just in the league, but in Ludi or other leagues similar, momentum is probably the biggest set killer. That 2-0 situation that that Niner Esports was in initially is so crucial for them. That gives them a lot of weight off of their shoulders. But now Vermillion Tide has taken that back a bit. That that really can play into a team's mentality and mindset heading into the next game.
Yeah, and then not even the next game, but kind of looking for the playoffs too, because we mentioned before that this match has playoff stakes. So of course you need to take it one game at a time. But you're right, the kind of the mental side of things where you can let distractions get in the way. There could be a lot of things that you need to worry about, but yeah, it just take it one game at a time.
One game at a time. We're moving on to that next game. Game 4 TC Hagglefish Market. You know, Falco, I was just playing this earlier today in the speed ladder from Academy. And this map is so incredibly fun. And I'm actually really interested in how these teams are going to approach this.
Yeah, it's all about covering the area that's I don't know the proper name, but it's like right under the tent area because all three
Canopy,
checkpoints are
that's right.
the canopy. Yeah, all three checkpoints just kind of surround it. So if you can get in a defensive position where you're preventing any members from getting to the checkpoint, it's going to be much better. On the counter, if you're on offense and you want to try and make sure that you're blocking maybe the Hydra, like that'd be a great spot for the Hydra for Niner Esports. Speaking of which, they're on top of the canopy, but yeah, it's all about protecting those checkpoints.
Right, Niner Esports in the orange and the Vermillion Tides in the blue. For context, folks, Vermillion Tides already taking that tower towards that first checkpoint. And Falco, you're right. That Hydra on the side of excuse me, of Niner Esports is going to be a crucial factor, and control of that canopy again is just a game changer at this point. I mean, having control of that area is so crucial for overseeing almost the entire map.
Yeah, and I want to point out we are seeing the Tri-Stringer come out for the first time in this set on the side of Vermillion Esports. So a weapon that it can do some damage, and having a killer whale there is great support as kind of a backline weapon too. So Vermillion Esports trying to find an opportunity to push up the Rainmaker. Now the Tri-Stringer is trying to take out the Hydra in a little backline versus backline action. But Niner Esports now with the player advantage, they are going to be taking this tower and getting more picks.
Right, now the tides have turned. The bubbler usage here is going to be great as they are heading into this first checkpoint. Niner Esports just about getting that clock ticking now. There's a lot of pain and one down on the side of Vermillion Tides. Make that 2 down, Falco. Now this is getting a little bit dangerous for Vermillion Tides.
Yeah, and again, it's controlling that right canopy, which Niner Esports, they were able to do as the offensive team. They're going to quickly get past the second checkpoint, taking down, trading with the Roller. Oh, the Roller's still alive. Roller stayed alive much longer than I thought. who was able to prevent the tower from getting to that third checkpoint. So Niner Esports getting all the way to 23 on that push at probably about midway through the game. That's not the back and forth stalemate that we saw in games 1 and 2.
Right, it's a very decisive push, clearing out the first 2 checkpoints, and that is going to go a long way if they were to counter push again in any time during this match. Now we see that they're trying to move the tower here again. It looks like Niner Esports is trying one more time. There's a little bit of pressure here on this canopy, but it's not going to go much anywhere as the Hydra is wisely backing off. And again, this control of canopy is just going to be crucial for any chance for a push to be had.
Yeah, when you have a lead like that, you want to try and protect it. And again, that's what Niner Esports is doing, and they're doing a really good job painting and flanking. The blaster over there on the right side, unfortunately, going to be going down to that splat bomb. But look at this map control now by Niner Esports with a little more than halfway through. It's looking pretty good now for Niner Esports.
Right, Niner Esports and their paint control on mid and holding that line, that defensive front line is going to be crucial in giving them a chance to potentially stop this TC push. Great use of the bubbler here on the tower at a key pinching point here, Falco, and already this tower looks like it's just about living just a little bit longer. Oh my gosh, 3 are down on the side of Niner Esports. This is just tumbled into new territory.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you need to do if you're Vermillion's Tide, but unfortunately you're going to have 3 players going down, leaving just your Tri-Stringer alive, who's going to need to back out. That is what they do. So Vermillion Esports not able to get to that second checkpoint, but we're able to push. But again, since this is tower control, it's not going to cut it for now. You know, you can get some points there, but they're just going to be quickly taken away as the tower goes back to mid.
Right, and this is going to be a very desperate situation for Vermillion Tides. Oh no, but a great play is trying to be made here. Is a 2v1. Niner Esports trying to take a 2v1 in hopes of getting that Tri-Stringer away, but to no avail. Those distraction plays isn't maybe what Niner Esports is going to need at this moment, as they are giving away free paint over to Vermillion Tides.
Yeah, and now with just about 10 seconds left, Vermillion Esports needing to get on this tower, but they are going down one by one. Tri-Stringer having to back up just a little bit, and with these bombs coming in, Tri-Stringer is going to be getting up on with the roller, who's going to be using, I think they were using the, I don't know what they used, but Niner Esports able to just quickly hop on that tower. They knew that they didn't have to wait. They had a lot of time to be patient, but Niner Esports had the players there to get on the tower and just secure the win, and that's going to put them up 3-1.
A very decisive match that Niner Esports needed after such a close loss from their previous match on Mahi Zones. And that was that was not the passive gameplay that we had seen from the first couple of games. So I think Niner Esports has kind of found their groove in this set. They've kind of found the rhythm that they needed to just secure that game 4 so soundly.
Yeah, again, they showed the aggression pretty early on, and it just goes to show how important it is to get past those checkpoints when you can. You know, if you don't have a player advantage, but you're so close to getting through that checkpoint, you might as well just keep jumping there. It might be considered feeding, but you want to make sure that you can get past that checkpoint, just because of how important it is. If you know the other team was going to have to do that same thing as well. So you want to be the first one to do it. And Niner Esports, again, they were very dominant with their performance in that game. I mean, they didn't get through the third checkpoint, but again, you don't need to get the knockout to get the win. You just need to get as far as you can and then set up a defense just so the other team can't match that objective push.
Right, you need to get the points to have that decisive lead. And I think they were able to play that soundly and defensively enough, especially with the use of like the crab tank right at the end. I think that was a great distraction play, kind of diverting attention away from the tower at that moment to, oh my gosh, there's a crab tank right in front of us just shooting us down. We need to address that. And then everything just falls apart for Vermillion Tides in that moment. Now, we're at game 5 here, and game point for Niner Esports. Falco, what do you think is going on in Vermillion Tides' heads right now? What do you think they're thinking right now?
Again, you can only take it one game at a time, and if I'm Vermillion Tide, I'm thinking, okay, we already played Clan Blitz in the set. It was game one Wahoo World, and it was so close, but they unfortunately couldn't pull it out. So you're playing that same mode, but on a stage that's slightly bigger, but I would argue easier to get to the basket from mid, potentially, with kind of jumping on the propeller through mid. But again, Museum D'Alfonsino is such a unique stage design. I actually really like it. I know some people are kind of iffy about the stage, but um, it, you just got to find your way to break in when you're facing a team like Niner Esports.
Right, game 5 underway here. We see a couple of comp changes. I'm really liking Niner Esports running with looks like the Tetra is coming out with Ninja Squid. So that is going to be a very dangerous playmaker on the side of Niner Esports. Meanwhile, Vermillion Tides are kind of running comps that they've been fairly comfortable with. I think the only real change that I see is utilizing the Slosher, which hasn't been around in a couple of games.
Yeah, the Explosion here, a different weapon choice. That's going to kind of be their anchor for this stage. And again, like you can see all of mid from the stage, which is pretty nice. So Vermillion Tide opting with choosing a weapon that can just get good picks, just like exactly how they did. But Niner Esports, I believe Niner Esports in the purple, they are able to get a power claim first as they're navigating throughout the map. Now, what's hard about having a power claim this early on and this pushed back, it's just a permanent point sensor that's on you since the enemy team can always see where you are. So it can be hard to break in when you get it so early and not closer to the enemy's basket.
You point that out so correctly, Falco, because that is information that the opponent is going to use against you when you're in a moment like this where Niner Esports, they have just had to keep consistently backing up from the pressure from Vermillion Tides. And now you're holding onto this ball, you're juggling it around, defending the basket. I mean, this is a constant debate, do you keep it or do you drop it in hopes of defending your basket?
Yeah, in a way you can use it as a distraction where, you know, it's like we have this claim, but this might not be the claim that we want to score with, but we want to draw your attention to it. And that could allow another player to maybe go up and try and get a flank. Speaking of flanks, we have the roller here getting some good picks. This might be a team wipe. Oh no, Tetra's coming in with that last push to keep it alive, but Vermillion Esports able to get this score in and get down to 68 with a few claims to follow up with. So first score of the game, that could come in handy. I mean, we saw how it worked in game 1, so this could be the only push of the game.
Right, exactly. I mean, we're just about halfway into this match and we just had the first push happen. And that took a lot of time out of Niner Esports' moments during this match. Not to mention all the paint that they just lost and still having to deal with this incessant pestering roller. I mean, there's just no room for them to work with.
Yeah, and that can be really hard when you're a weapon that likes to shark up and push, like, you know, again, as a blaster player, if there's not a lot of ink real estate for me, it's going to be very hard. And again, that's going to be the same thing with the roller. So at that point, you're going to rely on, I don't even know who you'd rely on if you're Vermillion Tide, because none of those weapons really paint super well, which again just adds to the difficulty.
Right, the basket is being popped for the first time of Niner Esports. They do have a second ball, but it looks like they're going to attempt to feed it. At first I thought they were trying to hold off, but in a desperate attempt they try to get the ball to the basket, but their efforts are fruitless.
Yeah, so again, it can be tricky when you're in that situation because sometimes you want to just find any opportunity you can to score, but other times you know that you need to have a follow-up. And generally when you're losing, like Niner Esports was, you want to have follow-up to at least try and match what Vermillion Tides did. So yeah, not really the push that they were hoping for.
Right, and with 2 down on the side of Vermillion Tides, they're in a bit of an awkward spot. They're slowly losing that mid control that they desperately need to maintain in order to have a more secure lead. But members keep just falling one by one, and Niner Esports taking the high ground here on this spinner and is able to pop the basket. And they are just one clam away from potentially securing the lead.
Yeah, it looks like the Tetras were trying to push up. I don't think they had any claims with them, and now the Gal is there too, but not going to get there in time. So Vermillion Tide able to hold on to that defense, still leading this game with less than a minute left. What they need to do is just get map control at mid. They don't need to push their power claim. They just need to apply a little bit of pressure so Niner Esports don't have as much space to work with, and they'll need to work harder to try and push towards that basket. And it looks like that's what they're doing right now. Now they just need to get these picks, and that's going to be 2 for the Expo. That's going to be a triple. So can they get the quad? We see, oh, the bubble's not going to allow them to do that. So a very good counter push there by Vermillion Tide, getting the power claim up there, getting more map control now, tossing some of their clams. Not able to get the claim in the basket, but with 3 players down, this is going to give Niner Esports one more chance.
I was just about to say, this is a very dangerous game that they played. They got a little too aggressive with the ball. You saw, Falco, that they tried to toss up the ball to their teammate in hopes of popping the basket to just completely secure the match. But no, it got completely flipped on its head, and Niner Esports took advantage of a very costly mistake, and they have taken the set against Vermillion Tides 4-1.
Yeah, that was very dangerous of Niner Esports to maybe have a player go up towards the enemy basket when they're all approaching you. But quick with that response, they knew they just needed to score 1 power claim to get the win. We already have, or that's all they needed. They were down by, I believe, like 2 points and 10 penalty points, so 1 power claim was going to do it. I mean, that is just so hard when you're in that situation. And Clan Blitz, you and I both know that's a very teammate-oriented mode. You have to have the communication there. You're on your toes all the time. So a very gutsy play there for 90 Esports, but it's going to pay it off.
It does, and great showings by both of these teams. Now, to talk a little bit about the bracket here, this was Vermillion Tide's chance to actually still be in contention for a playoff berth in their division. There hasn't been anything solidified yet in their group, but because Niner Esports played Boilermaker here tonight, they actually took away Vermillion Tide's chance of actually making the playoffs, and man, that has got to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, it really does. But, you know, these two teams, they've had a season where they've played matches that have all been competitive with each other. Even though the season may be over for Vermillion Tides, there are so many opportunities for these teams to find teams to scrim or in play. So any opportunity that you have, you need to take advantage of. And I mean, we said there's over 60 teams here in CCA, and you don't have to play teams in your div too. So yeah, it was a very good effort by Vermillion Tides.
Right now, folks, I don't know if you're noticing here, but we are queuing up for another game, Rainmaker Inkblot Art Academy. That is actually game 6 in the map list. I don't know if you know this, Stream and Falco, but this is actually a CCA tradition that started back in season 1 of the league. I believe it was PSU, Penn State, and University of Texas, Dallas. They actually started a tradition to play the rest of the set even after the games have been decided. So for the sake of the stream, entertainment, and for more games, both of these teams are agreeing to play the last couple of games for our entertainment and for our own amusement.
You know, that I really like that, and I think that's great because you know that these two teams go head to head. They are competitive. We're not in a tournament situation where, you know, we would have to move on to the next round right now. These teams knew that, hey, this could take an hour. Let's take advantage of the time that we have together. We're here already. Let's just have these last 2 games just be a scrim. So I love this tradition, Mizuno.
You're exactly right. I mean, it's led to some really funny moments in the league too. So maybe we might see some shenanigans, or like you said, just playing the rest of the games and getting some practice in. You've taken an hour out of your day to play these games against an opponent at your skill level. Let's take advantage of that time.
Yeah, and with that, we are going to see quite a bit of weapon changes. We're going to see an NZAP come out for Vermillion Tide. We're going to see the mini Splatling as well. We're going to see the Splatana Wiper in the Rapid Grow. So yeah, this is the time where you do change up your weapon. The set's already determined. Let's have fun. Let me play with a weapon maybe I'm not as familiar with, so I can practice with it. So yeah, I'm liking these choices.
Me too. I like the rapid choice too on the side of Niner Esports. I think it's a very interesting weapon choice given like the certain like corners and zoning areas such as plat. I think it can be really effective with the certain types of weapons that you pair it with. Now this is an interesting situation because Niner Esports took it to took the Rainmaker to the podium first, and they are actually in a 2-up situation against Vermillion Tides.
Yeah, so Niner Esports, they're going to be trying to take it, avoiding, I believe that was a spot who's behind them. But look at this push with the help of the stamp, able to get all the way up to 13. 2v2 now, just a Hydra alive, so Vermillion Tide are going to be getting this pop. But I love those like gutsy efforts there if you're a player like on Niner Esports. Are we just going for the podium? Not a lot of paint, I just need to go. I want to try and get this done.
Right, and that just paid off dividends for Niner Esports. I mean, they were able to make just enough room ahead for the Rainmaker to just squeeze on right through, dodging all sorts of yellow, orange paint on the map. Now, Vermillion Tides is attempting to respond and bring the Rainmaker back on over into their favor, but instead they go 3 down in this situation, make that 4 in a delayed wipe. And Niner Esports has not given any paint up in that exchange.
Yeah, they really haven't at all. And I mean, Vermillion Tide, they want to try and find an opportunity to break in, but when you have a hidden Ultra Stamp, it's going to make it that much harder. Who's going to get a double? What a fantastic splat there from the Swatana Wiper. Now able to push up and keep up this pressure. So Niner Esports turning it on once again. And they are able to get the Rainmaker, trying to take it up this left side, using the help of the Ink Vac, able to get up and move. Let's see how far they can go.
Man, what a great play by the Splatana Wiper. Again, just playing distraction games with Vermillion Tides and getting, again, those clutch kills with the stamps, paint pressure, allowing Niner Esports to move back into plat. Those are some great opportunities. Thankfully, Vermillion Tides was able to play that a little bit more carefully now, and they were able to stop the Rainmaker from getting any more points and avoiding a potential knockout. But they still have the Rainmaker stuck in their plat, and that is a little bit of a dangerous situation to be in.
Yeah, it's hard because Niner Esports, they can pop the Rainmaker. They might not be able to get it, but they are watching you to see if you pick up that Rainmaker. So chances are this will reset unless Niner Esports are able to pick it up. The Rainmaker is going to reset as mid is pretty neutral, but right now Niner Esports need to capitalize on just now getting the wipeout. So just painting up mid, pushing this Rainmaker more, maybe trying to go for that knockout.
Right, I mean, leaving the poor sloshing machine alone, Vermillion Tides in a very dangerous situation with a wipeout situation. I mean, they're playing this very carefully now. I think they're starting to realize the comfortable positions that they can be in. However, Joker here on the Splatana trying to exert a little bit more pressure, but to no avail. Now Vermillion Tides flipping the switch and taking the Rainmaker over to the podium for some more points, and much needed points in this game.
Yeah, that wipeout gave them the checkpoint for Vermillion Tides and put them up in a position where they haven't really been in this game, which is on the top part of the map. But now it's just the Rainmaker who's alive as Niner Esports members, the Blaster. They're going to be trying to push down, and they are able to get the Rainmaker. So, you know, they probably wish they could capitalize on that more, but it's hard with the checkpoint. It slows you down. So if this was Splatoon 2, it could have been a game over, but no, we're playing Splatoon 3, and it's just a slightly different path and direction you have to take this one.
Right, the pacing that the podiums kind of dictate in this map and this mode specifically. I mean, you're absolutely right, just pointing out that the game is just completely different at this point, and the pacing and how teams are able to push the objective. Now, speaking of objective, Niner Esports with the Rainmaker as the clock is winding down to 0. Niner Esports taking the Friendlies Game 6 here. And I think, again, they've really found their groove against Vermillion Tides.
Yeah, and again, even though they're up 5-1, like if you're Vermillion Tides, this is still a great learning opportunity. You know, it's fine if you get beat in most of your sets, but the fact that these two teams seem to be competitive with each other, it's great practice. And a lot of people, they can focus on scrims and think, oh man, we lost every game, or we lost the majority of the games. But when you play people who are at your level or maybe slightly above, you're going to learn so much from that play style and from that ability.
Right. Now it looks like we have a couple of players dipping from the lobby here. I think there might be some communicate miscommunication going on, but that might actually be because we are getting close to time. Our next matchup is actually right around the corner. We have two matchups in our doubleheader tonight with Vermillion Tides and Niner Esports in Div 2. We actually get to move on to Div 1 now. This is like the big leagues. These are the really experienced teams. We'll be watching in the next few minutes here the Boilermaker special from Purdue University take on the Neo Comet Blasters from University of Texas, Dallas. And oh man, Falco, these are CCA veterans. These guys know how to play Splatoon in a collegiate environment. This is going to be a very exciting match.
Yeah, I mean, being a veteran is going to be, I mean, like a Splatoon veteran when you were in season one. I believe most of these players played in season one.
Mhm.
Like you have such a huge advantage at this point. But when you're playing another team that also is in that same boat, like they know what's at stake too. They know how the tone is set. So yeah, this is going to be a good one, Mizuno.
Exactly right. Now, folks, we're going to take a short break as we head into the other lobby. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game 2 of our doubleheader tonight. Stay tuned. everyone, and welcome back to the CCA League Season 2 double header into Week 5. I am Mizuno, joined by Falco Flyer tonight for our second match. Game 1, Clan Blitz Wahoo. We have the Boilermaker Special versus the Neo Comet Blasters. Now, Falco, these are two very experienced teams here, so we're going to be seeing a different type of match than what we saw in our first matchup of the night.
Yeah, and of course, Mizuno, you being very familiar with a lot of the players on the Boilermaker special, and the Neo Comet Blasters, like you said, kind of a team with the Comet Blasters of the same school from University of Texas Dallas. So yeah, looking at these comps here, we see I like the Dapple choice. Dapples aren't something that we see all the time with the Tacticooler, but they can be very useful. And the blob pick too on the side of the Neo Comet Blasters. I'm enjoying this.
Comet Blasters are known to run some very fun comps, and I mean, already we see the Boilermaker special. I was just about to comment more on it, but the Comet Blasters are actually in a 2-down situation from Astrom's Dapple play here. And things are looking really good for the Boilermaker special right now as they activate the Tacticooler, and it looks like they're preparing for some push of some kind.
Yeah, they're going to be taking it through this right side. They don't have a, I say that spoke too soon, I was going to say they don't have a power plant form able to get it, so the Dapple is going to be the one who throws it in the basket and is going to be taken down. So Boilermakers, they're doing a good job following up some of these power clams, pushing from the right side, pushing from mid too. But now Neo Comet Blaster is able to break in and stop this push, but not without Boilermakers getting to 47.
Great defensive front on the side of Neo Comet Blasters. I mean, there was just a ton of pressure that the Boilermaker special exerted with the Tri-Strike, with the Killer Whale, and the Tacticooler combination. Those staggered specials can be very deadly, but the Neo Comet Blasters actually played that defensive front very effectively, and honestly, I think they kind of negated the damages done.
Yeah, Neo Comet Blaster is able to break back in there, take a lot of what the Boilermakers had as far as mid goes too. And now 2 players still going to go down, 3 going to go down. So Boilermakers, even though they let a little bit of the turf get away from them, able to break it back in. And look at this push coming from the right side. They got rid of their penalty points. They're staying in the bubble, throwing these clams in, getting down to 44. So a very good second push from Boilermakers.
Great coordination on the side of the Boilermaker special, utilizing that opportunity that Astrom on those Dapples opened up for them. However, thankfully, the Neo Comet Blasters were finally able to drive out those pesky Boilermakers from their spawn and from the basket. We see the blob here desperately fighting for some paint back, throwing down the wall, but unfortunately going down to the sloshing. No, the splat bomb actually from Toasty. So the junior actually preventing the paint control from heading back into the Comet Blasters' favor.
Yeah, and if Boilermaker special, if they keep this up, they're going to be sitting pretty. As long as they are able to control mid and just squash out for these power clams, it seems like Neo Comet Blasters, they're not being as sneaky as Boilermaker special have been forming these power clams, especially without having not having Dapples. I feel like the Dapples are definitely assisting the Boilermaker special on that side. So they're going to have a different plan if they want to get these wins, but able to sneak around and get a splat. That way, get a little bit of a flank could come in handy as they're now trying to push this power clan towards mid and towards the basket.
Right, the Neo Comet Blaster is actually making some crucial plays, calling out just the junior, then the Dapples, and punishing the slosher when they got too aggressive. So while they are 1 down right now, they're actually in a better position than they were just about a minute ago or so. Now with a clam in their hand, they're looking to keep this mid control, and they're able to get a crucial 3 picks down. 3 are down in some staggered spawns here, and it looks like this is their moment to strike.
Yeah, they have to take advantage of this opportunity. They're going to be throwing the Booyah Bomb towards the basket, able to get that power claim in. 1 in. Can they get the second one into? No, the bubbles popped, but the power claim not going to go in. We still have the Gal who's alive and the blob up top. I don't know if they'll get it. It looks like the Gal able to get that one in. The blob picks up the back power claim, throws it away, but they are still alive. This ball player is hanging in there, and they stayed alive much longer than we thought they would.
Right. I mean, they were just completely surrounded in yellow ink. I don't know how they were able to stay alive in that moment. But it was such a great push on the side of Neo Comet Blasters. But the lead that the Boilermaker Special had from their previous pushes is just too great. Now with only 30 seconds on the clock, Tactical Cooler activated, the Boilermaker Special is sitting in a very nice spot right now.
Yeah, and you give a little bit of room for the Boilermaker special, they are going to take advantage of that opportunity, especially Astrum with the dualies, able to just fit in any corner of the map to throw the power claim in. So Boilermaker special need to just hold it up for about 5 more seconds. There is a power claim on the side of the Neo Comet Blasters, so Boilermaker special just play some heavy defense and they should be good, or Boilermaker special could have a counter push of their own and just score and end the game right there.
Ah, you think that would be a really greedy play that the Boilermaker Special just did just there, right? They overextended and trying to push the basket and completely neglecting their own. It's very dangerous, but in that moment, they were able, again, I think they were led there by, I think it was Toasty and Astrom just propelling forward onto the Neo Comet Blasters plat area and taking advantage of a one down, two down situation where they feel absolutely comfortable knowing that they could just take the game away from the Neo Comet Blasters.
Yeah, when you're able to just be in a position where that's going to be possible, that's something you want to do. If you're Neo Comet Blasters, it's hard because you have to play offense, but watch out and just watch for a counter push at the same time. That just goes to show how important it is to have the lead as you approach overtime because you have more flexibility on what type of strategy you want to play. You could just strictly play defense. You could play offense too. You could have a few players do both, but you get one player there who's going to sneak by the basket. You jump in the power clam before Neo Comet Blasters can see you. You're going to seal that victory pretty quickly as overtime starts.
Right, exactly. Now we're heading into our game two matchup, Rainmaker Mincemeat. While the teams are being sorted out here, I have to take a moment to talk a little bit about these two teams. Falco, you've mentioned I know a couple of these players, and oh boy, do I know them. The Neo Comet Blasters are essentially the JV team for the University of Texas Dallas kind of esports community there. So Texas Dallas being one of the few schools that we have in the league actually sending two teams to the league. I mean, there's just so many players in this community that they're able to send two teams with subs at hand. I think that is incredibly interesting.
Yeah, I mean, having a roster like that is really going to come in handy. Especially, I mean, especially later in the season when things kind of get maybe a little busy during the school season. With midterms kind of ending too. You're more familiar with their schedule than I am, being not as far removed from college. But yeah, just having that flexibility is going to make things a lot better.
Right. I mean, it's so difficult as a college team to find time out of your crazy day to settle down and play a game. But of course, you have to settle down and play the game with three other people, and scheduling that is very difficult. So again, it's fantastic to see that the Texas Dallas community is so big and just has such a strong presence. It's truly fantastic to see. Now, that's on the side. That's on the southeastern side, southwestern side of the United States. Up here in the Midwest, we have the Boilermaker Special. Now, for folks who don't know, this is actually a pickup of multiple players in the in the competitive community. Astrum is actually my teammate from Sub Power Up of ITAP fame. And then we have two players from the Rolling Squids, which is actually a very well-known LSL band turned into low ink alpha contending team. So when you have that sort of experience in the mix, not to mention Barry, who is a well-known plus player running their E-Leader, you have a very strong pickup with very experienced players just here to come wreck shop in the league.
Yeah, and it's great too when some of these players have a team of their own that's even not affiliated with the school, but when they're able to kind of come together and form a team like this, it's going it's just going to make you a better player too. Having all the comp experience that you possibly can. yeah, it's going to suit you well. And like to your credit, talking about how Yum and Toasty coming from the Rolling Squids, which has seemed to just really take off recently in Splatoon 3. This Boilermaker special team sitting very pretty.
I see Barry now running with the regular charger here. I think it's scoped. I couldn't quite see it. And actually, not only a couple of changes. I think Noob swapped out of the Gal in favor of the Blaster, which Falco, I'm sure you must be thrilled to see that.
Yeah, I am. I do like the pick, especially on Rainmaker. Like it's probably one of my favorite modes to play that weapon. So we'll see how well they can utilize it. Going to have to rely on Astrom's paint from the Dapples. It seems like, and maybe some from the Blob as well. But with that, 2 players are now going to go down for the Neo Comet Blasters. Boilermaker Special going to be picking it up, taking it up this right side. A few players there, including the Blaster, trying to take them down, but no. Rainmaker's still kind of on top mid, trying to get some picks. 2 players are down for Neo Comet Blasters once again, as Boilermaker Special needing to push towards this podium, and it looks like they're finally doing that.
They have a great situation with Yum on that bucket, putting pressure on that that snipe area that the Charger usually likes to sit. Now, with the checkpoint gone for the Boilermaker Special, they're actually sitting in a very good spot now. And with the Blaster down, there is a lot more room to work with. You see, it looks like the Junior here is trying to navigate above and trying to get this pick on the Blob, but unable to do so at the moment, trying to make more room. Finally able to get that pick, but falling to the Blaster at hand. But the Rainmaker Falco is already up to 24 points.
Yeah, a fantastic push by the Boilermaker Special. Utilizing your teammates to kind of pave the way, push up a little bit. I love the I love the movement. Look at that, 3 players going to be going down on the Boilermaker Special from the Blaster of the Neo Comet Blasters. So Noob doing a very good job, definitely not a noob with this weapon, as they're able to try and prevent and paint up a little bit more. But yeah, you get all the way to 1 when you're, as a Boilermaker Special player, you want to get that knockout, but you know you have a comfortable lead. You don't want to give up that first checkpoint too easily because things can spiral out of control, so they need to not let Neo Comet Blasters do that.
Totally agree. I mean, the Comet Blasters basically have to take this Rainmaker, as DRF likes to say, coast to coast. They have to take it from mid all the way back over to completely knock it out. And that mentality that you have to have and that willpower you need to muster up for this to happen is going to be a lot for the Comet Blasters to take. And I mean, the Comet Blasters actually do have a history of very scary comebacks. Back, I believe, is in week 3, they were able to come back all the way from 3 Falco and Hammerhead Rainmaker. So I wouldn't count the Comet Blasters out of this game just yet.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in a mode like Raidmaker where things can really snowball when you get a wipe, getting from one checkpoint to another. So Neo Comet Blasters, they need to control mid before they get some of these before they can try and push the objective. It's hard when you have a strong charger like you do on the Boilermaker Special, who can watch your every move, especially on this stage with kind of how like flat it is, not a lot of vertical height that you have to work with. So again, another stage that's going to kind of favor backline. Boilermaker Special once again picking up the Rainmaker, but this time opting to take it over through the left side. Going to be picking up some juice from the Tactic Cooler as well to kind of support. But Boilermaker Special, they are keeping this pressure up.
The pressure, exactly right, Falco. The pressure that they're able to continuously exert throughout the entire match is so crucial. I mean, the further back that they're able to push the Comet Blasters, the easier it is going to be for them to defend when they're able to take the Rainmaker back. Now, the Rainmaker is actually in a very precarious spot for the Comet Blasters, sitting over those grates, and you see Barry here on the other side of those grates. Their sightline is just so great here, eyelining this blob and preventing them from going any further. And again, they're in a very precarious spot right now, Falco, as they activate this vacuum.
Yeah, and I mean, Boilermaker Special, they need to keep that Rainmaker there. It looks like it is going to go away now. Or no, it's still set where it is. Like you said, it's such a tricky spot since it's on the grate. So Boilermaker Special, they need to just keep up the pressure. Maybe if they could have avoided popping the Rainmaker, it would have gone a little differently. And you could kind of keep all the paint at mid. So this will give Neo Comet Blasters an opportunity as the Rainmakers reset, but Boilermaker Special, they have to control mid. They don't want to give anything up quite yet, and it looks like they're in a great position to keep this pressure up.
Agreed, with Barry in this prime position to keep making those picks. I mean, Falco, the pressure's just too great as the Comet Blasters finally wipe out. And with the Rainmaker just sitting right next to Barry, I mean, wow, the Boilermaker special, that was just completely dominant. And the Comet Blasters just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, when you make a push like that and get all the way to 1, you can be a little more experimental with your playstyle. You can do things that maybe you wouldn't think would really work on a traditional push or a traditional defensive stop. So they didn't even let Neo Comet Blasters pick up the Rainmaker, I don't think once, or get it on Boilermaker's side at least. So a very, very good defensive stop by the Boilermaker special. I like the Vac just sitting at the Rainmaker to just wait and just be like, hey, I'm here. I'm just going to be sucking up ink and try and come at me. Try and do it.
Now, folks, I am so sorry. It looks like we had a bit of a lobby issue here. We're gonna take a quick break to get back into this lobby and get the players settled back in. So don't go anywhere. The match is 2-0 right now. We're gonna get back into this lobby. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Hello, folks, and welcome back to the CCA League Season 2 double header. We just had to take a quick moment to reset the lobby there. Apologies, folks. I am back with Falco Flyer as we headed to this Game 3 matchup between the Boilermaker Special and the Neo Comet Blasters.
Yeah, Boilermaker Special getting the first 2 wins. Very dominant win there on Game 2. Dominant as well in Game 1. So Neo Comet Blasters gonna need to be trying to have something up their sleeve as we approach Splat Zones on Mahi Mahi Resort. This is a map you definitely do not want to have a charger on the enemy team be too comfortable. So things could spiral out of control very quickly, or we could see a lot of back and forth like we saw in our previous set.
Right. I mean, the big key thing that the Comet Blasters are going to do here, like you said, they're going to have to keep a watch on Barry on the side of the Boilermaker special and making sure that Barry on that charger doesn't stay too comfortable. I mean, that I think that'll probably be their key way in into staying in this match.
And taking a look at these weapons, we see the sploosh now coming out from the Neo Comet blasters. And we see the wiper again from Astrum. So the sploosh with the stamp is going to be one of the weapons that Boilermaker Special are going to have to watch out for, but or not. They already have a 3-player advantage with just the blob alive on the right side, as these members are now pushing up and getting some good splats.
Right, that delay wipe that the Boilermaker Special was able to force the Neo Comet Blasters on here. I mean, this is not the way that you want to be starting out this game, Falco. And with the Comet Blasters on the back foot here, another member going down, 50 points already to the favor of the Boilermaker Special. I mean, how in the heck are you supposed to come back from this?
Yeah, especially looking where the wiper is too, just like ledge guarding like a blaster player, able to paint up. It actually does paint pretty well when you're in that type of position. That's something I didn't even notice. But it looks like, oh, Spade was trying to find an opportunity to break in. Man, I'm just impressed with this Boilermaker team in some of these kills, especially with that Ultra Stamp.
Yeah, that Ultra Stamp throw, man, you think that Stamp would suck, but no, Astra making use of it as much as they can. Oh, we do see the zone briefly freezing for a moment, and you'd think that the Neo Comet Blasters was able to finally secure it. But alas, the Boilermaker Special in a clean 100-0 sweep are able to knock out the Comet Blasters in a matter of, what was that, 45 seconds or so?
Yeah, definitely the quickest set or quickest game of the night for both of the sets in our doubleheader. So we said it could spiral out of control, and it certainly did, with the Boilermaker Special being on top. And like you said, there was that brief moment where Neo Comet Blasters contested the zone. They were almost able to get that cap, but when you don't have the player advantage, it's going to be so tricky. And you got to do everything you possibly can to paint that zone. So Boilermaker Special able to hold on, and now they are leading 3-0.
Leading 3-0, the momentum is just entirely in the Boilermaker Special's favor as they are barreling through these matches at like Mach 20 right now. It's almost like a speed run at this point. But the Neo Comet Blasters, they have all the right pieces. They're able to put on a lot of pressure still. It's not like they're just floundering around. They're just making a couple of just little mistakes that the Boilermaker Special is just able to pinpoint and take advantage of. I think this game isn't entirely lost just yet.
Yeah, it certainly isn't lost, because we could see something similar to the first map we had. First match was Claim Blitz on Wahoo World, where Neo Comet Blasters, they had an opportunity and almost won that game. It went into overtime before the Boilermaker Special were able to jump in that power claim and score. So again, nothing really is over until it's actually over. And with a slower match, slower mode like tower control, that could be Neo Comet Blaster's opportunity to really regroup, protect the checkpoints, and just kind of have different elements up their sleeve to prevent how dominant this Boilermaker Special team has been.
Right, and I think the crucial key here for kind of like being patient with that pacing and that objective control, I'm hoping Noob would actually switch back over to that blaster for this match. I think the positioning that they'll be able to utilize with that blaster here will be crucial for getting those points that they need.
That's right. And I mean, we're talking about Noob. Noob is a top 5 in KA, top 3 in splats without assists. So if you're topping of CCA like that, you've definitely got things up your sleeve that you can utilize too. So it's going to have to come in handy right here.
Right, and Noob is back on that blaster indeed, right as I called it. I'm telling you, I think this will be the one that they will need. I'm really liking the Blasters comp here. Overall, the Neo Comet Blaster is running with that sloshing junior combination with the blaster. I think they can make really good use of this on the tower control. Meanwhile, on the side of the Boilermaker special, you see Barry back onto that comfortable E leader, Astrum on those dapples, and Toasty and Yume on their comfort picks. I mean, this is just going to be a battle of wills at this point, Falco.
Yeah, and it just goes to show because Boilermaker Special, they haven't really been able to take the tower yet. Like, they've been able to claim some of the objective early on in the previous 3 games. And with that, Noob going to be getting a nice pick. So Neo Comet Blaster's first one's on the tower, just shy of 1 minute into the start of this match. And they're going to quickly get to this checkpoint in a 2v2 situation. Blaster is now protecting the tower, but they're going to have to watch out for this triple ink strike. Luckily, the Gal, I believe the Gal is able to just hop off the tower momentarily, and so they are going to get past that first checkpoint.
The Comet Blasters are just activated right now. They were able to take advantage of a 2-down situation that they put the Boilermaker special in, and that was the perfect shift of momentum that they needed, and they were able to clear that first checkpoint. And to start off this match with a minute and a half off the clock and the checkpoint gone, I think this is a really good spot for the Comet Blasters right now.
Yeah, because now they can kind of play the neutral game of just protecting mid, not having to do anything fancy like they may have had to do in games past. They have the lead, they are in a more comfortable situation, although be it right now, they do get wiped. So things quickly could change as Boilermaker Special getting to this first checkpoint. It looks like they will quickly get past it as well, and they have other players in a more aggressive position pushed up, unlike Neo Comet Blasters had before. So Neo Comet Blaster players, they are just now going down one by one once again as his tower approaches the second checkpoint and gets past it as well.
And man, and this is just a domino effect, Falco. Right as you said, the Comet Blasters are completely staggered in their respawns right now, and that is not what they needed. They need to come together as a unit to stop this tower, but it's already through the final checkpoint. And you know this tower, it's smooth like butter. And there it goes, folks, right in to that final checkpoint. The Boilermaker special is able to take the set in a clean 4-0, not dropping a game in this set.
Yeah, and really, the only time they dropped the lead was at the very beginning of this game, with the Neo Comet Blasters getting to that first checkpoint, and you know, unfortunately for them, not able to push it up. So Boilermaker Special looking very dominant so far this season as well too, getting that win. And I mean, anytime you get a 4-0 win over any team, that is very impressive, regardless of who you play.
Right, but I think credit where credit is due. The Comet Blasters, again, they are in Div 1 for a reason, Falco. From their experience in the season prior to now, they have grown exponentially and have demonstrated a lot of skill and growth and improvement in the CCA League. And they were able to hold their own against a very dominant Boilermaker special team, which has not dropped a single game in this entire season except for one that was resulted from a DC. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is something that the Neo Comet Blasters can take away from, I think.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, when you're put in Div 1 of any league you're in too, like you are a part of the top crew. Even if you don't get the set wins, the game wins that you're hoping for, you know you're getting good practice in too. Again, it's not about winning every single game, it's about growing as a team and trying to explore and really just get better at the game. But like we saw in the previous set, we are going to be doing a play all 7 as a part of this gentleman's agreement that you touched on earlier, this kind of being a CCA tradition. So we'll be moving on to a game 5 with Clan Blitz on Museum d'Alfonsino.
Now this one's going to be really exciting for both teams because both backlines are going to be very effective here. You mentioned in the first match of our doubleheader, the backlines have complete and total control of the entire map. They're able to put their sight lines wherever they need to. So the Neo Comet Blasters potentially bringing out that X-Flow, I think is going to be very crucial. And of course, Barry on that charger, playing Spoilermaker for the Boilermakers. I mean, this is going to be a very fun match ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And I also like the Clash Blaster pick there from Spam too, just to kind of add something a little different. So it's yeah, that's why I like these extra bonus games as you have it on CCA.
Right. I mean, now this is the chance for the teams to experiment a little bit and kind of get a little bit out of their comfort zones, out of their shells in a way. The Clash Blaster pick being a fun one. Now, actually, I commented on a potential X-Blow on the side of the Comet Blasters, but they're running more a much more aggressive kind of style instead, neglecting a definitive backline. And oh man, Falco, we already see Barry here right on top of the mid spinner, already trying to get some picks onto the Comet Blasters on their own spinner. This is a very precarious situation.
Yeah, you get a charger in that situation in mid, it's going to be hard to avoid them. And especially when the rest of the team has 2 power claims ready and a bubble and a triple ink strike to try and support. But actually, a few players from Boilermaker Special, they are going to go down, so they aren't going to get that push that they hoped for, as Neo Comet Blaster is able to cap a little bit more of mid and gain some control, getting some splats. So if I'm Neo Comet Blasters, I count that as a win for being able to defend a push like that.
Agreed. That mid-fight situation and stopping it from getting any worse than it already could possibly be is very effective here. However, right as I say that though, we already see Astrom on the Dapples putting a lot of pressure on the spinner here, almost getting the trade on the blaster, but being supported by the blob, they were able to completely halt Astra's attempts at getting a couple of picks.
Yeah, and so Neo Comet Blast is still hanging in there. Typically at this point, Boilermaker Special would be pushing the objective pretty far, and it looks like now they are going to be trying to bring some more claims towards this basket, using a bubble as well for support, getting 2 power claims in, getting down to 60. So now this is going to be real rough for Neo Comet Blasters as they only have their Clash shoes alive. Blob now jumping back in, but Boilermaker Special getting these claims. Look at this push, Mizuno.
I mean, you already see Astrom coming with some more clams with those beacons, already down to 19 points, but finally looks like some of the Boilermaker Special players have been chased away from the basket as it comes to a close. Falco 19 points as we're halfway into the game. That is very tough to come back from, giving the set history that we have seen already in the previous Clan Blitz match.
Yeah, and especially how well Boilermaker Special have been able to keep up with this map control too. It's not like they backed out immediately and went back to their spawn. No, they've been keeping this pressure up. They haven't left Neo Comet Blaster's side since the start of this push. So we see the Slosher here trying to push up towards the basket, getting some picks, trying to throw some bombs as well. And 1 power claim at the ready for Boilermaker Special, pushing over top on this right side as well. So that's going to be another score, but you're going to need 2 power claims in if you want to get through these penalty points, which it looks like they do. And now they just need 5 more clams if they want to get this win. Unfortunately, no players are really in a position to do so, but as long as you keep this pressure up, you're gonna keep up the momentum and get this win.
I have to give credit to Yum on the Slosher for the Boilermaker Special, just making a crucial pinch on the Neo Comet Blasters and allowing that push to happen in the first place with that tri-strike and that just sloshing pressure. Again, the pressure that we keep talking about here. The Boilermaker Special, they're not letting up whatsoever. They are keeping this very aggressive pacing, and it is paying them dividends right now because the Neo Comet Blasters have yet to even touch the basket.
Yeah, and I mean, when you have players as dominant as you have on Boilermaker Special, especially with the help of the Junior now to be able to paint, this is, a decent sized map. So as long as you can run around and touch up on every area and give your team real estate, that's going to make it much easier. But now Neo Comet Blaster is able to get some more map control. They don't have a power claim just yet, trying to get these picks winning 1v1s. So able to get a little more map control again. But you got to get in a position where you want to score a power claim too. But at this point, it's going to be tricky.
Right, the Comet Blaster's blob player there was actually doing a really effective job of actually holding back 2 members of the Boilermaker Special, getting 2 picks, but their teammates are unable to follow through to secure any more ground afterwards. With 15 seconds left on the clock, the clam economy needs to be the Comet Blaster's main objective right now. They only have Pity sitting right by their basket, but they have yet to even grab it right now. The clock has tucked down to 0, and we are in overtime right now. and they have to take the ball all the way to the other side of the map because they haven't even picked it up yet.
And I mean, it's going to be very hard with how Boilermaker Special's pushing. They have control of mid, so Neo Comet Blasters, I mean, they're not going to get there in time, unfortunately, with the clock running out or with Boilermaker Special scoring their own too. So it's just such a tricky position to be in again. You know, if you're Neo Comet Blasters, you don't even want to worry about Boilermaker Special making a push because you got to get that map control. If you're not going to get control mid, you're not going to push it forward. So just such an uphill battle for them.
I absolutely agree with you. And to your observation there about getting that mid control during overtime, I think they actually neglected pity on purpose for the sake of why would you bother to double back all the way over to your basket to grab pity when you need all four of your players at that moment moving forward and trying to get back all the paint that you had lost in those pushes. So again, it's a very precarious, difficult situation to be in when you're in that overtime moment. And again, I think the Boilermaker Special, their execution, their skill levels and understanding of the game and pacing is just on another level right now.
Yeah, it is, but again, it's all a part of the practice. And you know, Neo Comet Blasters, they didn't get knocked out of the game, so they were able to keep up some of the pressure. Now, Claim Blitz is hard because if you have a dominant push, it's just going to be so hard to respond from. So that was also something Neo Comet Blasters had to deal with. But they seemed to play well. Like they were able to paint a little bit more with some of their weapon choices than they had in previous games and able to extend this much more. So we'll be moving on to game 5 here, or I believe this will be game 6.
Yes,
Rainmaker
game
on
6.
game 6, Rainmaker Inkblot Art Academy as a part of our extended coverage.
Right, and I think this one is going to be very difficult for the Neo Comet Blasters to navigate through. They did like you remarked just now, they did a much better job with that paint control in this Clan Blitz match, and I think in order to succeed on this one, paint is going to have to be the name of the game here, because if they give any of that up, the Boilermaker Specials, they just activate like a switch and they will propel forward and take whatever that they could. So I think right now, the Comet Blasters, if they want to make use of this game right here and try to get some points on the board, I think they're going to have to really utilize some of their painting coverage and their painting weapons.
Yeah, and what makes it hard too is this is a map and mode that both of these teams obviously very familiar with in Splatoon 2. So it's not like one team really has a heavy advantage over the other with that regards. It just simply kind of comes down to play style. So we do see the rapid, we do see the rapid pro or the range blaster, I believe. Keep getting all these weapons, the blasters mixed up.
It's the icons. It's the icons.
It is the icons, yeah. We see that one coming out too. We see the roller on the side of Boilermaker Special, keeping the junior, keeping the. Oh, we do see, now we see Dapples on both sides, so I like that choice too.
I was gonna say too, you point out the Flings roll on the side of the Boilermaker Special. That is actually Barry wielding the Flings roller this time around. Excuse me, I can't with my words at this moment. We do see the Boilermaker Special pick up the Rainmaker first, as they have the most control in mid at this point. But the Rainmaker is looking to kind of shuffle along here. There is a little bit too much orange paint to navigate through at this moment.
Yeah, they're going to have to get some tricky footwork to keep this Rainmaker alive, and they are able to do it. Getting up here on this left stack, you're going to get some more height, able to spot some of the players on Neo Comet Blasters. This podium is looking clear, but you have this Booyah Bomb just waiting, which is preventing the Boilermaker Special. It's a game of chicken at that point, and maybe you just got to wait for the Booyah Bomb to be thrown first. So, yeah, I mean, Barry's been holding on to this Rainmaker for quite some time, still trying to get to that checkpoint. So Neo Comet Blasters not really letting go of this pressure and just guarding this podium.
No, but I have to say, right as you say that finally the Rainmaker goes down. The Comet Blasters were actually able to make really good use of that Booyah and kind of take a moment to basically stiff arm the Boilermaker Special from proceeding any further and allow their teammates to come back in. Those crucial seconds matter when your teammates are respawning. However, I think that's all for naught at this point, as the Boilermaker Special is back at it already with the Rainmaker at hand and 2 down. 2 members down, make that 3 members down on the side of the Neo Comet Blasters.
The support of the Boilermaker team from the Rainmaker, or the players who aren't the Rainmaker, is incredible right now. That allows your Rainmaker to just be so patient and not push up until they're absolutely ready to do so. When you have weapons that can kind of get those picks in tricky places, you can flank with the Dapples, the Explosher sloshing machine. You can just kind of get players behind ledges. Blob can have some funky movements too. So yeah, it's just going to be hard as Neo Comet Blaster is able to prevent this knockout for now. Looks like they might be trying to pick it up as well as they take down Astrum. So this could be the game-saving pop and able to extend it a little bit longer. So once again, Neo Comet Blaster is going to be trying to get some of these picks and take control of mid.
They have finally, and right as I say that, I was about to say they've finally driven out all of those Boilermaker Special players, but I think they have missed some of the beacons there. So you see Astrum causing a little bit more trouble, but finally driven away. The Comet Blasters have regained some of the ground that they have lost. The Rain Cloud popping off and taking a little bit more paint that they so desperately need right now. But they're still stuck in their plat. There is not a lot of room to work with, and you see the Rapid going down just now. Man, the Comet Blasters, they have a lot of work to do to even potentially get back into mid.
Yeah, I don't even know at this point which player you start with, because every player on the Boilermaker Special team has just been so flexible with their play style and so well coordinated, kind of spread around the map, guarding all edges and all sides. So you just have to take out any member that you can. Again, winning 1v1s is much easier said than done. So it's you just got to rely on your teammates to assist you with that. Speaking of assisting, we have some specials coming out on Neo Comet Blaster side as they have more control of mid, but no players of the Boilermaker Special are going down, especially because 3 members from Neo Comet Blaster is going down. So Boilermaker Special picking the Rainmaker up once again as we have less than 1 minute left.
I was gonna say, the Comet Blasters were trying to take advantage of that Tri-Strike special to move back in. However, it looks like it didn't quite work, and the staggered spawns allowed the Boilermaker Special the opportunity to take this Rainmaker back up into their enemy plat. Again, the Comet Blasters on the back foot right now, huddling basically by that podium on their final stand. But the pressure that the Boilermaker Special is exerting right now is just too great. I mean, you see the Flames already coming up the ramp here, and there is a wipeout yet again on the side of Neo Comet Blasters.
Yeah, this should be the game here, especially because Boilermaker Special had some players who were pushed up so far towards the podium. So it took a little while for Boilermaker Special to finally get that dunk after their initial push to 2. Neo Comet Blasters had an opportunity where they had a little bit control of mid, but once they had control of mid, they couldn't win their 1v1s, and ultimately that's what led to the Boilermaker Special comeback or push back to the podium to get them that win. So they're going to be winning this game 6.
On your point about 1v1s, I think at this point, the Comet Blasters might, in order to drive away those Boilermaker Special players, I think they need to prioritize their teamwork and coordination a lot. I mean, there was great efforts in prior games where you saw them working together to take 2v1 situations and pinch the Boilermaker Special players at really inopportune moments. And those are the plays that allowed the Comet Blasters to gain more control, gain more ground, or potentially, you know, take the Rainmaker or take the tower. And I think for this last game, I think it'll be really important for them to prioritize that, because those are the fights that you could truly win instead of taking 1v1s where you could be potentially outmatched.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you need to do in that situation. And knowing that they only have one more opportunity to do it, again, never too late to try anything different as we move on to the last game, Splat Zone's Eotilla Alley. So nothing is lost here, as Neo Comet Blasters will have one more opportunity to get a win against Boilermaker Special. As you see, Boilermaker Special readied up pretty quickly. Neo Comet Blasters, maybe they'll completely switch things up. Who knows? But again, you can't really make a wrong decision here, as you're still trying to prepare against a team as dominant as Boilermaker Special.
Right, and on a map that, as an audience, we have not seen yet, Splat Zone's Tail Alley. This is such a very complex and dynamic map in this community. With the zone being so large, it was so many obstacles in the way of the zone. You could see a lot of shenanigans here, and I'm very curious on how these teams are actually going to kind of react to this, on top of also understanding the player dynamics.
That is right. Um, so again, this will be the last game between these two teams, and I believe, yeah, they're going to actually have a sub. I'm not sure which team's going to have a sub, but we are going to get a player in here, have a player swap, so we can have them get an opportunity to play tonight. So Neo Comet Blasters, they will be the team who's subbing, and yeah, I don't know if those comps that we saw will really mean anything, or if Boilermaker Special will keep the same weapons that we saw. So we'll stay tuned while we wait for the sub.
Right. All that speculating the first 90 seconds as they're ready, all for naught. Terrible. But I mean, I think even with the substitution coming in, I think that still won't change at least the Boilermakers specials. I think they're pretty comfortable with what they're running already from what we've seen in these games. However, for the Comet Blasters, I think right as the game started, I think I saw a blob. And I'm hoping again that in addition to prioritizing 2v1s, I'm hoping that the Comet Blasters will try to take advantage of paint here, because again, this map is so large and the zone is so big with so many obstacles in the way that fighting for zone is going to be pretty much the name of the game at this point.
Yeah, it is. And when you have a new player, you have a new player who maybe has a new weapon up their pocket, which means you might want to adjust some of the things that you're playing too. So things can drastically change when you do have a sub. But let's see what these teams end up going with.
Game 7 of our gentlemen's matchup here. We see Barry back on the E leader. We see Noob on the Rapid Blaster on the side of the Neo Comet Blasters, and then Explo and Blob. I really like this composition on the side of Comet Blasters because of that lobbing pressure that the Explo and the sloshing machine and the Blob are able to exert on these high perched up areas.
Yeah, and two pretty painty weapons. We were talking about how Neo Comet Blasters needed to have some paint. They're going to have an end zap and the, I believe, oh, you said it was the blaster. I thought that was a splatter shot at first. I was getting,
it's the rapid. It's the rapid.
The rapid, okay, perfect. So yeah, the end zap will be the one who's painting for them. But speaking of painting, Boilermaker Special doing the painting on the side, or on this game, as they're able to quickly control mid. Using the bubble and using the wave breaker as well. Neo Comet Blasters now not having a lot of paint to work with in this 3v3, taking the high ground to try and get some picks, but once again, you got to avoid the E leader from Boilermaker Special.
Right, I mean, with 30 points already left, the tactical are being popped alone on the zone. The Comet Blasters, I think, failed early on to play that neutral game, and this is coming in to punish them as the zone is not even painted halfway through. The timer is winding down quickly, and just like that, at 100-0, the Boilermaker Special takes the 7th game of this friendly set.
Yeah, it's hard too when you don't even take the objective once. In a mode like Splat Zones that will kind of spiral like we saw on the Mahi stage earlier, this is the exact same scenario that we saw. So typically the teams that are maybe more coordinated together, they're going to thrive, especially on a mode like Splat Zones. So Boilermaker Special, like you said, first of all, winning the set 4-0, then winning the rest of the set too, getting all those wins, very impressive, and ending their season completely undefeated.
You're exactly right. Again, just as I mentioned earlier, the Boilermaker Special, they only lost one game in the entire regular season, that being to an unfortunate DC, which again, I think that just comes to demonstrate the sheer dominance that this pickup has. And again, they have clutched the #1 seed in Division 1 Group A. And for that, also the Comet Blasters taking their fourth loss of the season. They do have one more match in the regular season before things come to a close. But regardless, again, the Neo Comet Blasters put on one heck of a show here for us tonight. And again, their improvement from the past season to now and their play styles against the Boilermaker special, I think was still an impressive feat to show off here.
Yeah, and of course that's why we play this game too. You know, it's we play to improve, and like you said, kind of the improvement from season one for Neo Comet Blasters. That's what they want to work for. So again, nothing is lost by getting 4-0'd from that set. So they are still hanging in there, and just got a lot of good practice in as well.
Absolutely. Now, that being said, folks, this concludes our double header for week 5 of the regular season of the CCA League Season 2. Falco Flyer, again, thank you so much for joining us and coming on as our guest commentator. Could you maybe share where the folks can find you and maybe some of the projects that you're involved in this community?
Sure, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Bazuno and DRF, you guys are super wonderful for helping support CCA and putting on a show for all of us Splatoon enjoyers. But you can find me Falco Flyer on Twitch at Falco Flyer and Falco Flyer 11 on Twitter. And I do a lot of commentary, so you can occasionally see me on IPL streams, LSL streams, kind of doing all that fun stuff. So thank you so much, Mizuno.
Thank you, Falco. Now, folks, in the season, we do have one reschedule week left over, so you might be able to catch another stream later this week. So be sure to stay tuned at the CCA Twitter account, CCA underscore Splatoon, for more details. That being said, thank you all for joining us on our CCA doubleheader, and we hope to see you all at a future CCA showing. Thank you, folks.